Hello there. Just hanging out with my buddy Ezekiel because this week we just so happen to be talking about death. That's right, we're talking about death. More specifically, we're talking about how God can make things that seem hopeless and dead come back to life and how he gives us new life with his spirit. See, our story happens to talk about bones and skeletons because we're looking at the book of Ezekiel and how God gave Ezekiel this crazy vision of a valley of dry bones that came back to life. So we're talking about how we can come back to life in Jesus. And we have a couple of fun crafts to remember the story and remember that principle. Our first craft is sort of a mummy brought to life, or a tomb, or you could even call this a bone. So really, it could be multi-purpose. It goes with Ezekiel. It also goes with the story of Lazarus, which happens to be the gospel reading for this weekend. So however you spin it, you're going to have a winner. So we're going to start off with a tube. You can use a toilet paper tube or a paper towel tube if you want it to be a little bit longer. And on the outside of this tube, we're going to be wrapping it sort of like it's a mummy or something that's dead. And then on the inside, we're going to put a special surprise, which you will see very soon. So we're going to start off, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue to make sure my wrapping gets on there. So I'm just going to kind of nestle some glue. I'll put an extra big blob at the top, and then I'll just kind of dot it around, or you could use a glue stick for this as well. And then I'm just using some crepe paper. You could use toilet paper, you could use tissue paper, options there. But I'm just going to kind of wrap my crepe paper around. And you can do this, you can do it kind of skimpy like this, or you could really cover all of it up. Kind of show you both methods here. I mean, it's a mummy, so you can't really go wrong. So we're going to kind of wrap this guy up, and you could even show that it's a mummy. Maybe you want to get a head covering there, and I'm going to secure it with a little tape. Now, clearly, there's no room to write on this because he's all mummified, so we're going to make a little caption for ourselves. Also going to draw on. You could have your eyes open, I suppose, but that would be like buried alive. That's a little weird. So we're just going to kind of give him a little sleeping face. Well, it's not really sleeping. He's dead, but you get the idea. So here's my little dead guy. So here's my mummy. Now, I'm going to make a little caption to go with this. And I happen to have some fun fancy paper I've got already prepared, but clearly you don't have to have that. We're just going to use this for now. So we're going to make a caption that says, God brings new life, even after death, or even when it seems hopeless, and we can put the reference to the passage that we're looking at. This is Ezekiel 37, or if you want to use the Lazarus, then you're looking at John 11. But here I've got my mummy. So now down here, I'll put my little caption. Oh, his head covering's coming off. There we go. Get back on there, little guy. And now, here comes the fun part. So you have our mummy, which, I mean, on its own could work as a craft. But this is not just a mummy. We want to enforce the principle that something new and wonderful and lively can come out of here. So you have some options. You could do a little flower, perhaps, coming out of the tube, or you could do a balloon, because balloons have new life going in. I happen to have, for this fun purpose of this craft, a party horn. So the party horn, besides being very irritating and loud if it's on the way home, is going to represent new life breathed into something that makes it come to life. So we're going to kind of tuck this inside, and this is the little surprise. So you could put it at the top or at the bottom, wherever you like, and then maybe you can even have, clearly you need something to cover that over, so maybe I'll have another little piece of paper or tissue paper that I'm going to secure to the bottom so that nobody suspects anything. And then you've got your fun little mummy guy who just looks so innocent, just hanging out here with his wrapping garb. But it just so happens that he's got a fun surprise hiding in him to remember that even in death, we will rise again if we love and believe in Jesus, because he is the resurrection and the life, and he gives us new life no matter what happens. So that's craft number 1, our mummy brought to life. Our next craft is going to highlight the skeleton element here. So I'm going to start with some construction paper. You can use any color, but black might work well for the purposes of this particular craft. And I'm going to actually put a little caption on here. So I'm going to start off with a caption on a separate piece of paper so that A, it will fit, and B, we can read it. So I'm going to say, dry bones live again. God brings hope to the hopeless, or something like that. Ezekiel 37. And now what I'm going to do, in fact, this might actually work better, pardon me, going this way. So we're just gonna, there we go. Because we're going to make a skeleton, we're going to use several different items to make it. Or you can use the same items, but I'm going to show you some examples of what you could use to make your skeleton. So what you're going to do is you're going to start off by drawing the outline of this guy. So I'm just going to draw kind of what might be kind of mostly like a stick figure, essentially. So we've got the neck bone connected to the shoulder bone. Kind of just making this little stick guy here. And then we've got kind of some ribs here. And then here's his legs. I guess this leg is kind of jumping. Here's his foot. He's dancing. There we go. It's a dancing skeleton. But you could just you could even just do a stick figure to give yourself sort of an idea. But you're going to kind of outline that, because then what you're going to do is you're going to take various sorts of items and make kind of a skeleton collage. So you have a lot of different bone options, possibilities you can use here. We've got popsicle sticks. You can use Q-tips. You can use noodles, and you can use different shapes of noodles too. Macaroni or shells, or the penny ones work kind of nicely for straight bones. So then what I'm going to do, clearly the head could be an issue here, but because all my items are straight, but I'm going to kind of just glue the general idea of where I want things to go. And then I can kind of fill in the details with my items. So maybe I want to have the popsicle sticks going down the side here. And then I can have maybe my noodles can be like my rib bones. And you can do this with glue or tape. You may need to even use both to kind of secure it. And then I've got my Q-tips here, noodles here, noodles, Q-tips. Again, this is kind of up to you and your interpretation, and of course the kids as well. They can have a say in how things are going to look and how they're going to orient things. But the idea is to have fun, be creative, use some stuff that maybe you don't always use for crafts. And then I can kind of give him, I'm going to give him just sort of a funky head here. He's going to have a strangely shaped head, but that's okay. You know, he's a skeleton. It's fine. Sort of was wearing a hat. But that is my, that's not going to fit. There we go. General idea of this skeleton. And again, you can even put an extra caption. You can put a name up here. You can put the verse again. Ezekiel and the dry bones. But it's a fun thing that once dry, again, you may need to put some reinforcing tape down there since some of these items are a little bit trickier to adhere and stay there. But once it's dry, you can hang it up, stick it on a magnet, tape it to the wall, or just take it home and remember the wild story of Ezekiel and this vision from God that reminds us that no matter how bleak things seem, there's always hope because God gives us new life and breathes life into us. So hopefully those are a couple of fun skeletal crafts that you can play around with. Have fun with the bones theme, have fun with the skeleton theme. There's a whole lot you can do with this story. And it's an interesting story too. Good for Halloween time or for any time because God gives us life all the time. So have fun with it, adapt it, change it, roll with it, run with it, make it your own, and make some crafts, make some disciples. Have a wonderful week. Come back again, and we'll see you next time.